Yakuza was enough of a success that a sequel was very quickly greenlit. Sega promised improved combat, and they were listening to fan critique. The Sega team considered fan input when making changes to Yakuza 2. One of the main aims in developing Yakuza 2 was improving its fighting engine. Accounting for fights against multiple opponents was one of the most important things ever considered when improving the fighting engine. It was made much easier, for instance, to attack foes that come at the player character from multiple directions, and to switch targets in the middle of a combo in order to quickly take out someone who may have snuck up on your flank. As a result, the fighting system was polished, and the staff believed they succeeded. Like its predecessor, Yakuza 2 received a remake in Yakuza Kiwami 2, which made use of the Dragon engine, which they also used in Yakuza 6. I'll be mainly looking at that version for story cutscenes and such, but I will briefly cover both versions. We will be getting into big spoilers throughout this review, so if you haven't played this game and want to experience it for yourself, here's your warning. Go play it right now and then come back and watch this review. The game is set a year after the first game, but we open with a flashback to 1980. Detective Jiro Kawara chases a gangster into a warehouse and witnesses the murder of a Korean mob boss by Shintaro Kasama. The dying mob boss pleads with Kawara to rescue his wife and child. Kasama does so, and from there we cut to 2006 where Kasama Kiru is living happily with his adopted daughter, Haruka. The game does give you a chance to flash back to the previous game in case you've forgotten. They are visited by Terada, Kiru's successor to the Chojo clan. He wants Kiru's help in the upcoming war against the Go-Riju clan. But an attack from the Go-Riju clan leaves Terada fatally wounded, and Kiru is thus thrust back into the life of a Yakuza. From there, Kiru crosses paths with Detective Karu Sayama, and meets his true rival, the head of the Go-Riju clan, Ryuji Goda, who seeks to be the one true dragon in Japan. From there, the story twists and turns as conspiracies, havoc, and familial relationships are revealed. But among them all, a love story forms. So let's cover our main characters, shall we? Beginning with our returning protagonist, Kasama Kiru. Kiru's still got his demons from the past, and he's haunted by his failures to save Nisuke and Yumi, as well as the death of his stepfather. He's found some peace by becoming an adoptive father to Haruka, but once again he's thrust back into the life of a Yakuza. He finds himself embroiled in a gang war between the Tojo clan and the Go-Riju clan. His relationship develops with Karu, and is perhaps one true rivalry is born, with Ryuji Goda. In some of the side quests, Kiru can be quite thoughtful. For example, in the one where they try to get Kiru to take pictures as an artist, Kiru mentions that art is about freedom of expression, and to limit the artist is not truly freedom, something which I agree with. There is one scene that shows that for all his badassness, he's not invincible. It's where he gets stabbed with a knife and almost bleeds out. Of course, he does the wrong thing by pulling the knife out, which you absolutely should not do in that situation. Of course, this leads to making him an even bigger badass when rescuing Haruka, as he knocks out a tiger with his bare hands. That's, wow! Alright then. He also forgives the bartender even though he betrayed him because he understands his reasons. That's compassion. We'll come back to him because his development hinges on other characters. Karu Sayama is Kiru's new love interest. There's certain friction between them. He's a former Yakuza and she's a cop. But the game does take time to develop their relationship. Not to mention, Kiru getting to see her naked probably helped spark an attraction. I do enjoy the two going on a date as it allows them to bond organically. As it turns out, her familial relationships are a mystery to her, and she seeks the answers for what happened. Her relationship with Kiru is tested when she finds out the truth of the massacre. That it was Kiru's patriarch, and we get to see a flashback of Kasama and a young Kiru. As it turns out, her real father is Jiro Kawara, and unfortunately she doesn't realize this until he's shot dead. This gives her a parallel to Kiru, as both of them held their fathers in their arms as they died. As for Haruka, well, at the beginning she's out of focus, spending most of her time at the orphanage. She doesn't come back into play until Sengoku has her kidnapped. I mean, young lady, this is the 4th time you've gotten yourself captured. What do you have to say for yourself at this point? After she's rescued, a bit of a subplot takes place where an idol agency tries to recruit Haruka, but she refuses because she wants to save Kiru. It's a nice sentiment, but it's also foreshadowing for Yakuza 5, as we'll get into later. Our villain this time, Ryuju Goda, is a rather complicated man. His first appearance sets him up as utterly ruthless. He utterly hates being called that, but despite this he has a code of honor, and there are lines he won't cross. And in this scene, he gives Sengoku exactly what he deserves. Not to mention the part where he has Kiru at his mercy, but refuses to kill him because he's not at his best. As it turns out, he's Karu's half-brother, and the end of the game makes it so that Karu feels that she has to go and finish him herself. But we'll come back to him. I find Ryuju to be a very compelling antagonist, and he's a good rival to Kiru. Their journeys contrast each other very well. Daigo is a new character. Kiru recruits him to basically take his place in the Tojo clan, and while he wants to help out and is a competent fighter, he's no match for ones like Ryuju. So he often has to have Kiru bail him out of trouble. Not much to really say about him. I'm sure he'll play a bigger role in later games. Guru Majima has changed. He's now more anti-heroic, I suppose is the word. The game doesn't really explain why unless you play the special Majima chapters in Kiwami 2, but I'm not going to play that until I play Yakuza 0. There's this really hilarious part where he's disarming a bomb and he completely guesses as to what wires to pull. So is Kaoru having a nightmare about Majima pulling the wrong wire, or was that unrelated? We'll cover his construction side quest later on in the video. Dante appears in a smaller role than he did in the previous game. He's framed for a murder, so he has to go into hiding after Kazaku is badly wounded in a gunshot. Gotta say, people take multiple bullets and doesn't kill them immediately. Everyone in this game is superhuman. I still like Dante, and it's good to see that he's still supportive of Kiru. The Florist also returns in a smaller role. There's one side quest that actually has him meet his son in person, although he doesn't tell him that he's his father. Basically, it's a form of tough love. He wants his son to grow into a man worth admiring. Can't say I agree with it, but that's how he does his thing. In Kiwami 2, Kiru gets roped into hosting a club of Yuki, who returns from Yakuza 0. Seems they don't remember each other. I love how Kiru just doesn't even want to do it, but somehow ended up getting involved because that's the kind of guy he is. Their side plot deals with a corrupt cabaret club trying to sabotage them. It's actually kind of engaging, and I'll cover the club in more detail in a bit. There's this one subplot where Kiru finds a Yakuza boss who makes all of his men dress up as babies because that's his kink. Yeah, look, I don't kink shame, and my opinion is that your kink can be whatever you want as long as you ain't hurting anybody, but he clearly is. What a bizarre story. I was pleased to see the Yakuza's wife from the original game actually make a more important role here, and there are tons of highlights such as Kiru's fight with Shindo. The main theme of the story is revenge. Everyone in the game is trying to get revenge for a slight and vendetta that has affected everyone. The plot kicks off because of a vendetta. We learn much more about the characters' histories and backstories, and we discover more about Kiru's history. I really find Ryuju to be a compelling villain. The development between Kiru and Kaoru is good enough for what they're trying to tell, and overall the characters remain strong and interesting. That's all I ask for in a video game. We'll come back to the story at the end. The graphics are beautiful in Kiwami 2. Even in Yakuza 2, there's a noticeable upscale in the environments and physics. There's the new Dragon engine on display, and wow, it is impressive. One thing I most loved was how there were very few loading times now. I loved just walking into a building and everything loads right away. You can do pretty much everything you could do in the previous game. I can now do karaoke with everyone I've met, such as Haruka, the Cabaret Girls, and Majima, and the songs can be quite insightful to their characters. Although they did reuse the same one for a lot of the girls, but I guess they didn't feel like going all the way with different animations. The PlayStation 4 version was locked at 30 frames per second at 900p resolution, but the version I'm playing off the Xbox One is improved in every way. Why is that 60 frames per second isn't the standard by now? It really should be. You actually have two cities to explore this time, Kamurocho and Santaboro. I really do like Santaboro as it's a whole new area you get to explore. I'll get to some of the mini-games in a second. The original game only supports the Japanese dub this time. I've heard varying stories such as to why that is. Yakuza 2's combat has improved, the heat actions are back, and this time you can get help from a bystander that Kiru has helped. One of my favorites had to be when I grabbed an enemy and slid him across the bar table. Love being able to do that. Also, Kiru and Karu are a great duo and they have some of the best combinations imaginable. Of course, one thing I'm not a fan of, there are QTEs. You're usually not punished too hard for failing them, but they can be annoying. For example, in Yakuza 2, I failed the QTE where you have to punch the chandelier down, but in Kiwami 2 I was able to do it because Hiro doesn't try to punch it like an idiot. Some of the boss battles use QTEs. These usually don't go beyond charge up your heat to be able to deliver the final blow. One time I failed to dodge a sword attack and I died. One of my favorite heated actions was when charged up, Kiro's blow will connect and you get to see the impact of the blow, and the facial expressions are pretty great. There's no styles to fight with this time around, just good old-fashioned fisticuffs, and I like that. It streamlines it. Kiro can now have a limit to how much he eats. One improvement I like is that he doesn't stagger to the next restaurant to eat when he's low on health, and there's no Majima constantly popping up out of nowhere to fight you. There are a bunch of bosses that can come out the more enemies you defeat, but I found defeating them to be very easy. In fact, the upgrade system is much easier than before. You simply have to have the right amount of skill points. Kiro's forgotten some of his moves, which is a little lame, but you always gotta start from nothing. There are new additions to the minigames and returning ones. I can't for the life of me play this in my home game. The batting is back and you have to be really specific about how you hit the ball, but none of that compares to the golf minigame. Oh god, the golf minigame. At first it's not too bad, but then they start putting obstacles in your way, so you have to carefully time your Then there's this part where Kiro takes pictures of models and he's getting way too into it. Is this live action? I'm not opposed to a little fan service. Maybe I should become a photographer if I get to do stuff like this. Kiro can also be a bouncer. This took some time to get used to, more of a time waster than anything else. Now I'll talk about the cabaret subplot. At first I had no idea what I was doing, but eventually I realized you have to pick the right girl for the right guest, so that way they will spend more money. I even started to pick up on the hand signs that allows the girls to recover so they don't get tired out while talking to their guests. Building up to the fever never felt so satisfying. Fever time da. Minasama koyoi wa sawagimashou! This was a great way to build up yen. Majima replaces the previous commentator because he was a snitch. I managed to build my way up through the leagues to the Millionaire League. With my group of girls, I was able to rank in over 10 million yen, even managing to get the Oil Baron. The storyline resolves itself well enough. Yuki manages to show some good character growth, and overall this side quest was a lot more time consuming and addictive than I expected it to be. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it, but now it's time to cover the Majima side story, not the small chapters. I'll save that till after I play Yakuza 0. Basically, Majima and the construction crew are assigned to protect various obstacles from being destroyed. I just line up my best guys to protect them from whatever's coming your way, and you just make sure you watch your gold. You don't want to run out. Overall, nothing too noteworthy. It's just a time waster. It's fine for what it is. Now we're going to cover the end of the game. Be forewarned, we have a lot of plot twists to go. So Kiru steps out into the street and finds what else but trouble waiting. Now that is Kasama Kiru. Kiru powers his way through everything. Nothing's gonna stop him from getting to the woman he loves. I just love triggering the heat actions. That person is dead, right? Gotta say, these people really don't want Kiru to get there considering they put up barricades. And that too, let's not forget. Eventually Kiru gets to the construction yard and finds a whole slew of enemies waiting for him. But you don't let that stop you. You're Kasama Kiru. Kiru makes it to the elevator and the man in black appears. Oh, this guy shows up constantly. Last time I saw him was when we were fighting on a moving vehicle and... How are you not dead? Everyone is like superhuman in this game. He's a pretty tough challenge, but he's a worthy opponent. Okay, stay dead this time. So Kaoru is holding Riju at gunpoint, and finally we find the whereabouts of Chairman Goda. Kaoru knows she's going to be turning in her career as a cop as she reveals they are half-brother and sister. Ryuji is floored by the truth in what the chairman tells him, but Ryuji only knows one way, the way of the dragon. 2 dragons, gold and silver, now the fight has come. Two dragons going at it. I couldn't have asked for more. Leave it to Yakuza to always have a memorable final boss. Ryuji has a sword, but dodging his attacks and lowering his health with heat attacks is no problem. So it looks like it's finally over. The chairman admits his failings as a father, but then Terada appears alive and well, and I did not see that coming. Terada basically reveals the entire plan was his way of trying to destroy the Tojo clan, or his actual name, Daijin Kim. Jeez, he was a traitor all along. Kiru just can't catch any breaks. The explanation of what Kasama did for Terada angers Kiru to his core. What's annoying about this fight is that he doesn't fight fair. You have to take care of his henchmen before you fight Kim himself. Some annoying quick time events that you have to be lightning fast to be able to do so. So you think at last the fight will be over, but then Takashima shows up and shoots Kiru in the back. He kills the chairman with multiple gunshot wounds. Everyone takes more bullets than you'd think they'd be able to take. Takashima is able to take Kaoru hostage, and Kiru can't bring himself to risk shooting her. But Ryuji gets up and shoots Takashima with a rather absurd amount of bullets, and Kiru encourages Kaoru to escape while he and Ryuji settle things. Both are wounded, but this is how it has to be. Both men are equal, but there can only be one dragon. Man, I love this fight! The blows are felt, but you fight hand to hand. It's the honorable way. Kaoru comes back just in time to watch her half-brother die in her arms. They never had a moment together.
好きやったんや。
お兄ちゃん。
顔や。
The bomb is about to go off, but Kiru can't escape due to his injuries. Dante and Haruka can only watch helplessly, as Kiru is left to die with Kaoru. The two realize they are about to die, but in each other's arms. That's some comfort. So that's Yakuza 2 or Kiwami 2. In many ways, it's a much more complete game than the original. It improves on what worked, fixes what didn't, and Kiwami 2 is just an amazing package. This series is fantastic so far, and I'm really enjoying my first trip through it. What an ending for Kiru's story. Nah, he's alive and well. And now he, Kaoru, and Haruka can live together in peace. Or not, as we'll soon see in Yakuza 3. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit that bell, like, and subscribe button. If you want updates, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, or follow me on Twitch, which are provided in the description below. See you next time.